Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari All right. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All right, so tonight we'll be reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, text number 16. So chapter 7 is titled Knowledge of the Absolute. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So 7:16. Chapter 7, text 16. Should be page 324. Right. Ready? Chaturvidha bhajante mam Jana sukritina arjuna Arto jigyasu artarti Gyani cha Paratarshava Chaturvidha bhajante mam Jana Sukritana Arjuna Arto Jigyasu Artarti Gyani cha Paratarshava Chaturvidha bhajante mam Jana Sukritana Arjuna Arto Jigyasu Artarti Gyani cha Paratarshava. Would you like to chant, anyone? Chaturvidha bhajante mam Jana Sukritarjuna Arto Jigyasu Artarti Gyana cha Paratarshava Chaturvidha bhajante mam Jana Sukritina Arjuna Arto Jigyasu Artarti Gyana cha Paratarshava. Anyone else like to chant? Chaturvidha bhajante mam Gyana Sukritinarjuna Arto Jigyasu Artarti Gyani cha Paratarshava. Right. So, yeah, if you could please repeat after me. Chaturvidha, four kinds of. Bhajante, render services. Mam, unto me. Jnaha, persons. Sukritinaha, those who are pious. Arjuna, Arjuna. Artaha, the distressed. Jigyasu, the inquisitive. Arta Arti, one who desires material gain. Gyani, one who knows things as they are. Cha, also. Bharatarshava, O great one amongst the descendants of Bharat. Translation. O best among the Bharats, four kinds of pious men began to render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Purport. Unlike the miscreants, because the last verse mentioned that there are four types of people that do not approach Krishna. Namam duskritina mudha prapadyante naradama maya pratigyana asuram bhavamashataha. So those are the duskritinas, miscreants. They're grossly foolish, lowest of mankind. Their knowledge has been stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, asuram, do not surrender unto me. So they do not approach Krishna, these people. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, unlike the miscreants that were just described in the last verse, these are adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called sukritina, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are four classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration, without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 defines pure devotion thus: Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmanyanavartam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. When these four kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them, devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also become pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress and at that time associate with pure devotees and become in their distress devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to the Supreme Lord to render devotional service and thus transcend knowledge of the personal Brahman and the localized Paramatma, and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material desires, and when they fully understand that material remuneration has nothing to do with spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities, the search for mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage of pure devotional service. Om Jnanativadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshudamadatamnena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Makam Karitivachalam Pangam Langate Girim Yakipatamaham Bande Shri Gurandinitaranam Vanchakapadibisha Kripasandibhi Vichar Patitanam Pavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Shri Beta Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Alright, just one more time. Read the translation. O best among the bards, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are his servants. Means all souls are intimately connected with Krishna. Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Buddha Sanatana. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that all souls are intimately connected to him. Jivarasrupoy Krishna Nityadas, that we are eternal servants of Krishna, but in material existence there's a tendency to forget that. We may think that we're servants of so many different things in material existence. We may completely forget about our relationship with Krishna and think we're servants of our country or our animals or our family or this or that or different things. And we may just forget about our relationship with Krishna. So, but a fortunate soul, they will approach Krishna, as Krishna is stating here, that there's 4 fortunate souls who approach Krishna. Sometimes they approach Krishna out of distress, out of misery. They want to have their misery removed from their lives. They're suffering, so they approach God, please help me, I'm suffering. Some people, they approach Krishna for some money. They think, my bank balance is low, let me approach Krishna, please help me with money. God is the supreme proprietor of everything. He surely could help me get some money. Srila Prabhupada said, how do you know if someone's intelligent? Anyways. He said, if their pockets are full of money, that's a sign of intelligence, right? Anyways, but people approach Krishna for money. People approach Krishna out of they're inquisitive or curious. And then there's people who are searching for knowledge of the absolute truth. They want like real answers to their questions, to their philosophical questions. So there's different reasons why people approach Krishna. Now, all of these different people who approach Krishna for these different reasons, these are not 100% pure reasons. These are tainted by different desires. The desire for money, the desire for freedom from the distress, the desire to know, or inquisitive, curious. So it's not that these people are approaching Krishna out of pure love and devotion. Of course, some of it may be mixed. It's mixed love, mixed devotion. It's not that they don't have anything, but it's not pure devotion. Just like there's a account that our teacher Srila Prabhupada gives, that one time there was a thief who was in need of money, and apparently he was a pious thief because he approached God. And not only did he approach God, but he really approached God. He approached Krishna directly. It's not that he was just praying, but he actually approached Krishna. Because he heard that Krishna has so many rings and earrings and necklaces, and they're real, real gold and jewels and everything. So he heard about this, so he went out to the forest and he found Krishna there. And then the thief told Krishna that, can you please give me some of your jewelry? He said, I'm in need of wealth. Can you please give me some of your jewelry? And then Krishna said, no, I can't do that. And the thief said, why? Why not? Why can't you give me some of that jewelry? And then Krishna said, because my mother will be upset with me. I can't do that. So, but in that association with Krishna, that thief became a devotee. He became purified in that association, and he gave up his thievery. So we see that these different categories of people, when they come in contact with Krishna directly, which is rare, but more often they come in contact with pure devotees of Krishna, persons who have pure devotion, that then by that association of those pure devotees who have went beyond these desires, they could become pure devotees of Krishna. And that is considered to be the success of Krishna consciousness, to become a pure devotee. And that means a pure lover of Krishna. And that is the success of the Hare Krishna movement, to encourage people to rise to the platform of pure devotion. Like Srila Prabhupada writes in the preface of this book, he says that our Krishna consciousness movement is teaching the whole world this central point. And because we're not polluting the theme of Bhagavad Gita, anyone seriously interested in deriving benefit from studying the Gita must take help from the Krishna consciousness movement for practical understanding of the Gita under the direct guidance of the Lord. And then he says, we hope therefore that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying Bhagavad Gita as it is, as we have presented it here. And then he says, and if even one man becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success. So here the commentator, Srila Prabhupada, grand teacher, he is saying that even if one person becomes a pure devotee, it's considered to be a success. So that's a success of one's life if they could rise to the platform of pure devotional service and in Krishna consciousness, and that's a success really of the Hare Krishna movement, that it's able that it even if it produces one pure devotee. And the standard of pure devotion is given in this purport here. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karman avritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. That this bhaktir uttama, the highest standard of devotion, is, it has to be anya bilashita shunyam, devoid of any desires, material desires, for jnana, for, could say, knowledge or karma, fruit of activity, or etc. So many desires may be there, but it has to be free of all those desires. Anukulyena krishnanu, and it has to be favorably for Krishna's pleasure, under the guidance, under the rules and regulations of the scripture. Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatra, Vinim Vina, that if one engages in devotional service neglecting the Shruti, the Smriti, the Vedic literatures, it is said just to be a disturbance in society. And that's historically what happened to the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's the father of the Hare Krishna movement. Krishna come again 500 years ago. So the movement was actually hijacked by a bunch of people who chanted Hare Krishna, but didn't follow any other moral regulations whatsoever, like kind of debauchy type of people. Far away from pure devotional service. So it has to be under the rules and regulations of the scriptures for Krishna's pleasure. And the examples given of Kamsa. So Kamsa appears in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Kamsa is the uncle of Krishna, and he's a terrible he's a terrible person. He's a terrible guy, and that he is one of those personalities who want to stop all sacrifices, all religious activity, and further, he was actively trying to kill Krishna in so many different ways. And he was very scared that Krishna was going to kill him, because there's that whole unembodied voice from the sky that ninth son of Devaki will kill you. So he was always in fear of Krishna, and he was always trying to kill Krishna. But he was always thinking of Krishna. I'm going to kill Krishna, 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 Krishna. or Krishna's going to kill me, Krishna, 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 Krishna. So he was always thinking of Krishna. So he was Krishna conscious. But that is not considered to be favorable Krishna consciousness. It's not in the realm of pure devotion, because it's not for Krishna's pleasure. He wasn't thinking, oh, how can I please Krishna, 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 Krishna. He wasn't thinking that. He was thinking the opposite. How can I kill Krishna, or I will be killed by Krishna? So it's not, therefore it's not favorable. Therefore we cannot follow that method. Where you have devotees like Krishna's mother, Mother Yashoda, who was also always thinking of Krishna. So she was there, she was churning butter, and she was singing about her child, Krishna. So she was always thinking about Krishna. But she was doing so favorably. She wanted to please Krishna. She wanted to serve Krishna. So in the month of Kartik, which is coming up relatively soon, some months, May, June, July, August, September, I guess not for some time, but 6 months, relatively soon. There's the case where she's churning butter, and Krishna, he indicates to her that he wants her to feed him. So she's there feeding him as his mother, and while she's feeding him, there's milk that's boiling on the stove top, and she notices that, and the milk starts to boil over. So some of our previous acharyas, they explained how this milk, it's not ordinary milk, first of all, it's special milk from special cows who are grazing around, eating special grass of Govardhan Hill. So Mother Yashoda was preparing this milk. It's also mentioned that because Krishna had a tendency to go over to other people's homes and steal milk products, she was thinking, my boy's not satisfied, by having the milk products of my house, so I need to make some special preparations. Because he was stealing from other people's homes. So our acharyas explained that the milk was boiling over, but the milk was conscious. Because in Krishna Leela, everything's conscious. So the milk was thinking that if Krishna becomes satisfied by Mother Yashoda feeding him, then I won't have any service. So let me boil over. That's what the milk was thinking. So the milk boiled over, and Mother Yashoda, interesting enough, is she put Krishna down. While she was feeding him, she actually put Krishna down, and she went to tend to that milk. Now, sometimes people may wonder, well, how is that in the realm of pure devotional service? Because she was feeding Krishna, that was Krishna's desire, and then now she put Krishna down to tend to something else. It's like people will see that as, oh, is she accepting that the milk is more important than feeding Krishna? So yeah, our teachers explain that it's not that this was out of the realm of pure devotional service, because she was doing this for the pleasure of Krishna. The milk was for Krishna. And as Lord Shiva, he tells Parvati, because Parvati is asking what is the highest form of worship, and Shiva says that the highest form of worship is the worship of Vishnu. Vishnu Aradhyam Sarvam. That the highest form of worship is Vishnu. But even higher than that is Tadiyanam, to worship things that are related to Vishnu. Which means devotees, for example. Devotees are related to Vishnu, so higher than the worship of Vishnu is to worship the devotees of Vishnu. Or things in relation to Vishnu. So the milk was in that category of tadiya, or things that were related to Krishna. So it wasn't out of the realm of pure devotional service. She was doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. But still, he got mad. He became angry. Krishna. His eyes became red, he started crying, and then started breaking different pots and eating it himself, and then distributing the contents to the monkeys. And then eventually Krishna had to, Mother Yashoda, she ran after him, and she found him, and she tied him up to a wooden grinding mortar around his belly with a rope to a mortar, and therefore he's known as Damodar, tied by the belly. So he was there, and another thing is she wasn't empowered to do that immediately. Actually, it was a whole day process. She was out there all day long trying to tie her son up, but it was always too short, 2 inches too short. And all the cowherd girls, they're all looking at, or the women, they're looking and they're laughing. And so many ropes were being supplied. And the idea is that our previous teachers, they explained how the 2 inches represents 2 things, and that is, one, our devotion, and Krishna's mercy. So, in other words, the question sometimes asked, is it that by Krishna's mercy, or God's mercy alone, that we are successful, or is it due to our own endeavor? Which one is it? So the Vaishnavas, they say both. We need to endeavor very intensely for Krishna's mercy, and then Krishna will give the mercy. So this is displayed by Mother Yashoda's hard work. She was tying up her son. So then Krishna was there, tied up, and then he was thinking to himself that, first, my mother, she didn't feed me sufficiently, so, and now she's tied me up to this wooden mortar. And he said, now I'm going to do something even more mischievous. So then there's these 2 Yamalarjan trees there, huge trees. So then he went and he knocked these trees down. And these trees were great personalities. They came up, and there were Nalakuva and Managriva. There's a whole history behind that. So yeah, we want to not follow in Kamsa's footsteps of being envious and thinking of Krishna in an unfavorable way, but we want to follow in the footsteps of Mother Yashoda and such devotees, thinking of Krishna in a favorable way. And that is pure devotional service. So the journey from atheism, if one is ever there, to maybe some people are just pious by birth or nature, and they didn't have to deal with that, but at least the journey from mixed devotion to pure devotion doesn't necessarily have to be a long one. Srila Prabhupada said you can become Krishna conscious in just one moment. It's a matter of understanding and accepting, or it can be more gradual. But the idea is to move from that, to take that journey. If we haven't taken that journey fully, or to move towards pure devotion. And there's so many wonderful examples of pure devotees in the past, and then also advanced pure devotees in the present that we can learn from and take inspiration from, and who exemplify this verse, Anyabhilashita Shunyam Gyanakarmani Avartam. So it's necessary to come to that platform. All right, does anybody have any question or comment?
We will also come to the next shloka, who is the best devotee.
Yes.
So you have to wait until next week.
Yes. Yes, the best.
Maybe you can give us a brief preview.
Those devotees will see Krishna out of desire or out of suffering or all that. So one day they become that pure.
They can be.
Which form they coming? They're at least coming to Krishna.
Yeah, they're coming to Krishna, and they can become pure devotees, and that's the idea, that they should understand that I should come to the platform of pure devotional service, and they should endeavor in that way. But it's not automatic. They have to try.
Whichever way, whichever form they're coming, the form is pure, but to get to the devotional, then it's the work, right? Whatever way we are coming.
I mean, it's good. It's good that people come to Krishna for any reason. It's good. But Krishna is explaining in this chapter that that better or more advanced is to serve him out of pure devotion only, with no other desires. There's no desire for freedom of suffering. There's no desire for money. There's no desire for whatever it is. There's millions of things we could desire from Krishna, but there's no desires for those things. There's no material desires. We just serve Krishna because Krishna is wonderful, and we just want to have an affectionate relationship with him, and that's all. You don't want anything from Krishna. You're not serving Krishna to get something. That's the idea.
Ultimately, we are seeking the absolute, but whichever form we are coming, it has to start somewhere. Right?
Yeah, it has to start somewhere. Yeah, so it starts with our desires, and then later on it becomes more about what Krishna wants from us.
Yeah.
Just like children, they're very much accepting service from their parents, right? Growing up, they're completely dependent on their parents, and they're accepting all service. The parents feeding them, clothing them, everything. But then later, the children, they say, okay, what can I do for you? And they do something. So yeah, the devotees, they're more in that mood of what do you want? What do you desire, Krishna? You have certain desires. What are those desires? And then they try to fulfill the desires of Krishna. So, for example, Krishna may want that Krishna consciousness is spread by distributions of Bhagavad Gitas, for example. So that's a desire of Krishna. It's mentioned in scripture. So a devotee may think, okay, Krishna wants Bhagavad Gitas distributed, so let me pass out Bhagavad Gitas, or let me sponsor Bhagavad Gitas so others could do it. That's one example. So, yeah. In terms of the next verse, of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. That's what Krishna is saying. For I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. So Krishna is saying that, one who's in knowledge, full knowledge, and engaged in pure devotional service, he appreciates this the most. And then he says, all these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me I consider to be just like my own self. So Krishna really appreciates if someone's knowledgeable of him. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me the highest and most perfect goal. And then Krishna says how rare this is. Bahunam janmanam ante. After many, many births and deaths, he who's actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So, if we want to know what Krishna desires and what he considers to be important and so on, then that's there in the Bhagavad Gita. So, it's nice. You don't have to speculate. What does Krishna want? It's like clearly there. So, all right. Any other question?
So, how would you categorize desire? Or so in the beginning of the verse, you had mentioned desire to seek the absolute, even that is considered as a mixed art. It's not considered pure form devotion. So, but wouldn't everyone, even the devotees, want to hear about Krishna and gain more stories or learn stories?
Yeah, I mean, one is like you want jnana as an intellectual gratification, in a sense. Like, let's say you have an active brain and you like knowledge in general, and you just find it really awesome how there's so much vast knowledge in the Vedas, and you're really like, the minds are really active in that way. So, I mean, that's good, but it's not on the platform of pure devotion because, devotion is more of a active service or mixed with transcendental emotion or affection for Krishna. But still, devotees do like to hear about Krishna and they do want that knowledge. But it's just a question of why they want it. Just like someone may want like knowledge so that they can impress people or something, but devotees like hearing about the knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita and other books because it's about Krishna, and they love Krishna, and it's connected with Krishna. So that's how they see it. They see Krishna on every page. They see the message of Krishna on every page, and in that way they're inspired. It's not just like, oh, well, this is like academically satisfying or something. So in that way, people can be too absorbed in the intellectual side rather than like the devotional side. But the Vaishnavism, it requires both. It satisfies the intellect and also the heart by intellect by transcendental knowledge and heart by devotion. So
in order for devotion to be awakened, one has to know knowledge also.
Yeah.
So knowing, so first is the jnana and then is the devotion.
Yeah.
Then devotion comes without the knowing of information, knowing knowledge.
I mean, devotion, like bhakti is not dependent on anything. Bhakti is not dependent on jnana. Ultimately, it's not dependent on jnana. One can become successful just by chanting the holy name, for example. You may not read any books, you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, you become fully successful if you do it properly. One may not be educated, one may be illiterate, whatever, but if they're a lover of Krishna, if they have devotion, if they're chanting the holy name, then all success is there. So there's examples like that. But I guess you could say, you could say that we're into divya gyan, or divine knowledge, not just kind of gyan, academic in an academic sense for the purpose of intellectualism, but for the purpose of reawakening our Krishna consciousness. That's why we're thinking that's why we're meditating on we're not our body, and that's why we're meditating on, okay, there's sufferings of the world, and that's why we're meditating on all these philosophical points, ultimately to help us realize that our real nature is Krishna consciousness. It's not just like we're just talking philosophy just to, because it's fun or something like that. Like philosophers sitting around, like armchair philosophy.
Yeah.
But it helps us, this knowledge helps us get closer to Krishna, actually. So, depending on how we see it and how we approach it. So, yeah. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai.
And we'll have prasadam served now outside. I think Mahasi will start.
We'll set up inside.
Huh?
We'll set up inside.
Inside.